You are listening to the ERP Organizational Change Journal, a podcast brought to you by Nestell Associates.
Well, David, the first question, and I really like to ask my fellow friends and practitioners this question because it seems like a straightforward question, but some of the responses are interesting and great conversation points. But how would you define ERP?
ERP is the software that helps run a business. Now, it is technology piece that is wholly dependent on human behavior to make it work properly.
That's a great definition. So based on that, David, suppose you're leading a kickoff meeting for an organization that's just starting an ERP implementation. How would you define and describe for them success then in terms of an ERP organizational change effort?
Great question. I believe that success starts with no business interruption at go live. I think you and I have both seen many organizations have major issues at the cutover piece. So, it finishes with the business outcomes being significantly improved to what was in place before the project started. The work starts with correctly identifying the culture of the business within which that you've got to work. Each business's culture is different and requires different tools and techniques to be used in order to deliver those improvements. However, one of the consistent points between them all is accountability. Mm-hmm. If the software vendor and the client both have a culture of accountability, then success is attainable, in an industry that has an horrendous failure rate.
And speaking of that, David, let me ask you about that point. How would you describe your general understanding of ERP implementation success rates in the field or based on your own work or anecdotal evidence of others or your research? Just in general, what's that look like?
Well, I find many implementations classified as being successful because they've actually gone live, when in fact the business is often not better off. And so in my humble opinion, my mission is to make a dramatic dent in those amongst my client base.
Yeah.
There's a lot of numbers being thrown around about, between 70 and 80, 85% of ERP implementations failing to deliver in some form or another. So like all of us, I've had projects that didn't deliver the outcome that was desired. But the good news is we've all learned what the causes of those failures are over time. In many reasons, that's why I wrote my book, The 14 Deadly Sins of ERP Implementation, to highlight the most common sources of these issues so that others could learn from those mistakes and not fall into them themselves.